Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Cinema Studs, the high school student-led podcast where we interview other high school students and experts about the movies you love. We're your hosts.
I'm Ken Bizzano.
And I'm Sam Rooker. Today on the show we have popular culture enthusiast Colby Bjorkgren. Woo! Yeah. Kevin, why don't you tell the people what this month's movie theme is?
This month's theme is superhero movies.
Yes, it is. And because of that, today we are going to be watching what is considered to be one of the greatest superhero movies of all time, Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. Now, unlike you guys, and maybe not any of you, I'm a freshman, which means I didn't see this movie when it came out in theaters. What was your first experience seeing The Dark Knight? Let's start with you, Colby.
I mean, it was at my house. I was kind of like chilling there and watching it. It was really good. I enjoyed it, and yeah.
What about you, Kevin?
So I basically rented it from a DVD store, and I just remember Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker being really fantastic at a young age.
I first watched this last year, and I just was so surprised by all the hidden messages and the different directing styles that Christopher Nolan uses to really put his stamp on the superhero movie genre. So the way that this podcast works is we have a list of round table questions that each of us is going to answer and comment on and how it relates to the movie. So the first question we have is, how does the cold opening scene of the Joker bank heist help to set the tone of the film? In my opinion, the way that it helps is you get that first shot of Gotham. No one is telling you from the very beginning, this isn't a film just about Batman versus the Joker. It's a story about Gotham, the soul of Gotham. And then you get that shot of Joker, who's the main antagonist. Rather than waiting for the whole film or even a third of the film, he shows him to you right at the beginning. That's why I think it's important. What about you, Colby?
It really sets the tone for how Joker is going to be for the most of the movie, because it shows you that he's very manipulative and always planning, because he completely sets up the idea all the guys have to betray one another, get the most amount of money, and he focuses on that.
What about you, Kevin?
I mean, it's menacing to start off such a cold open with a film like that, because usually at the time superhero movies weren't that dark until the Batman trilogy came along, so it was something kind of new.
I think that leads very well into our next question. So this whole scene is way different than anything else I've seen in a superhero movie. Of course, a trademark of superhero movies is bank heists and heists of any sort. But our next question is The Dark Knight even a superhero movie, or is it more of a crime drama? Roger Ebert has described this as a crime drama. I'd describe it more as a character study. It's centered around those main characters, which I'd say is Harvey Dent, Bruce Wayne, and Heath Ledger's Joker. Each of those characters changes so dramatically around the different points of the film and changes as a character. What do you guys think?
I mean, obviously it's a superhero movie, and I agree with that. I do believe it's a superhero movie. Yeah, that's my only opinion on it. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a superhero movie at heart, but I think there's a lot of crime drama elements to it, and that's why I think people would describe it as that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it might just have to fit in the two. Like a lot of movies, it has two main themes and two genres that it tries to incorporate. Let's go a little bit into our next question. So, Batman, the main character of the film, the whole trilogy is referred to as the Dark Knight trilogy. It's pretty much centers around him. So it's no surprise that Batman is one of the most well-known characters in history in terms of superheroes. He has one of the most well-defined morals of any superhero, in my opinion, too. So how does his moral code evolve over the runtime of the film? What about you, Kevin? What do you think?
Well, I think you definitely see a conflicted hero right at the end of the film, but at the start of the film, you see he's being praised as his hero and everything, but then as the Joker takes a toll on him, you can see his beliefs change as he messes with his head, basically.
What about you, Colby?
I think towards the very beginning, he definitely kind of proves that he doesn't believe in killing people, and he sticks with that until the very end, where he accidentally kills Harvey Dent. And I think this really messed him up, and I think it'll definitely have an impact on him later on in life, and it really changes his morals.
Yeah, that's part of why the Joker is such a perfect foil for the Batman, in my opinion, because he really messes with his moral code. When the Joker kills Rachel in that pivotal scene, it pushes Batman to the edge, in my opinion. This lifelong friend that he has is just gone. And it really, Batman starts to question his moral code. Should he kill the Joker? Shouldn't he? Should he go to Arkham? Wow, it's just a really interesting moral code, and it really does evolve. So, is the film more centered around the characters as individuals, or is it more about the characters and how they fit into Gotham? As I said in that very first scene, you get that shot of Gotham to establish where the scene is taking place. And I don't think this is just a film about the characters. I think it's a film about the fight for Gotham's soul. You get that scene at the end with the Joker and the two boats, and the Joker, if you haven't seen the film, sets up this event where each boat has the detonator to blow up the other boat. And there's people on each side. There's criminals on one side, and there's the people, the civilians of Gotham on the other. The Joker expects, and this is part of his anarchist moral code, the whole burn it down idea, is that everybody is inherently evil. He expects that they're both going to blow each other up. What do you guys think?
I definitely agree with your idea. I mean, I think the movie's more centered around Gotham itself because, like you said, I think Joker definitely represents more of like evil, like kind of organized evil, and I think Harvey Dent is supposed to be this great, grand hero who's pure and awesome, and Batman's just more of like the force who makes sure everything stays organized.
It's a film that challenges like the moral code, and I think that's what makes it so complex and so like beloved by comic book fans because like they haven't seen such a complex story like this in film ever.
You're right. There's so many complex morals and different themes that run throughout the film. And in the end, from that boat scene, the two different groups don't blow each other up. The criminals end up throwing their detonator off the side, and when one civilian stands up to blow up the boat, he can't do it because Batman knows everybody has good in them, and that's part of why Batman is such an important character and why he doesn't kill. So this is one of the big questions. This is going to be a big roundtable question, but everybody loves to say that Heath Ledger's performance is amazing. That's unquestionable. It's an amazing performance. I don't think a lot of people consider why his performance is so good. Why do you guys think it's a good performance? What about you, Kevin?
Well, based on what I heard is that he locked himself in like a hotel room for a very long time, and this helped him develop as a method actor. And I just think that's a lot of dedication in my eyes, and it shows in his performance, obviously, because he has this deranged attitude, and it really does show.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. What about you, Colby?
I mean, one of the things was I was watching a video on YouTube, and one of the interesting things they pointed out was that his makeup for the cuts on his face was actually falling off all the time. So in order to keep it in place, he kept on having to do that like signature lick thing where he'd like go to the side of his mouth. And so he incorporated that into the Joker and made it part of him. And instead of just like, doing it every so often at random.
And I mean, as we all know, method acting sometimes doesn't help a character. For example, Jared Leto's Joker a couple years ago, he did crazy amounts of method acting for that. What were you going to say, Kevin?
I was going to say that Jared Leto's performance compared to Heath Ledger's performance is a very interesting thing to compare, especially since they both tried method acting, but I think there was something that separates Heath from Leto.
What do you think that is, Kevin? Let's go ahead and talk about that.
I think it's the fact that he put more dedication in his performance, Heath Ledger, in my opinion, because he stayed in character throughout the entire time they're apparently on set, and not like frightened people on set because of it.
I've heard also that he came out of character when he was talking to people sometimes.
Yeah.
That he was a fun guy on set to be with. Because sometimes when he felt like they were going to do a scene again, he would just stay in character for the full time. What do you think, Colby? How does he compare to the other Jokers we've seen on screen?
You're going to have to give me an idea of the other Joker. I have seen the previous ones, but I can't remember exactly.
So there's Jared Leto, Jack Nicholson, Cesar Romero, and who's the other guy? The Joaquin Phoenix. Let's go ahead and talk about that too. The new Joker film is coming out. Did you guys see the trailer for that yet?
Yeah, I did.
Well, we both have. Why don't we express that to you a little bit? Why don't you describe it a little bit, Kevin?
Well, first off, from the trailer, there's definitely a vibe in it. This is kind of off topic, but it reminds me of a Martin Scorsese film called Taxi Driver. And apparently it's very heavily based on Scorsese films. Excellent
film. Yeah, there's a lot of Scorsese films that I'm seeing influence from. There's a film that they're actually basing most of the story off. It's called The King of Comedy. I don't think it's a Scorsese film, but it has De Niro in it. De Niro starring in both films. There's clear parallels. But it's a low-budget character study of the Joker as he slowly descends into madness. He's already a mental patient, but it's his slow descent into becoming the Joker. And from just the shots we've seen already, it looks beautiful, and it looks like an amazing drama, in my opinion. I could see Oscar gold in their future if it's a great
Definitely.
film.
Joaquin Phoenix has proven himself to be a really good actor, and I would not be surprised if he doesn't kill it.
So what do you think, Colby, in terms of Jokers? We know this is the best one. How does it compare to the other ones that you've seen?
The one I remember I've seen only like one of the older ones, and the one I mostly remember is the one where Joker was formed from like that pit of chemicals, and I really like that one. I actually enjoyed it, and I like the Joker in that one too because he's like kind of insane. He does a decent job at it. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're referring to Jack Nicholson's Joker from the Batman 1989. I think Jack Nicholson does a pretty amazing job in that film.
Yeah, he's pretty underrated in my opinion.
I think he's quite underrated. What are we going to say, Colby?
I really enjoy the scene where the bandage is wrapped around and it comes off. That one was great. I
With
love
the
that.
plastic surgeon. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that scene. It really is a great comparison because you saw this sudden shift in the 2000s towards a much darker and grittier comic book movie in general. And I would say that in terms of comparing those two characters, you saw this light-hearted Jack Nicholson character that was kind of jokey. There were dark elements in that film, but I would say that there's a film that comes after it that's a sequel that is much darker. It has the Penguin in it, but I would say that that was also when the shift started to happen. It was maybe even earlier into the 90s. Batman Returns? Yeah, you're right, Kevin. But yeah, I would say that there's a pretty clear difference between the two. Let's talk about the comic book movie in general. In the 2000s, you saw this sudden shift. They started getting amazing directors to come in. You saw, what's the director's name? Snyder.
Yeah.
The man who did, the same guy who's responsible for Batman vs. Superman and the garbage fire that is Justice League. I don't want to get into that, but he did Watchmen. So, what would you guys say is your favorite comic book film that's taken a darker and grittier take on the stories?
I think that one that comes to mind is Spider-Man 2. I think that film isn't appreciated much as it could be. It definitely takes a darker turn when it comes to Dr.
Octopus?
Dr. Octopus and his storyline. You see Peter Parker, he takes on new challenges in this film that widely explored as they are in the other Spider-Man films.
What's your favorite darker 2000 superhero movie? Cody?
I'd have to agree with Spider-Man because I remember a lot of the earlier Spider-Mans were a lot more lighthearted and didn't have as much like action, like destruction and stuff of the whole city and a lot of despair in it. So like the newer ones have like a heck of a lot more despair and like even Mary Jane dies, which is a massive disappointment. So
Yeah. Let's talk about the last question. That's going to be our biggest roundtable question. One of the most interesting characters in all of DC Comics, and in this film, in my opinion, is Harvey Dent. Why do you guys think the whole change with the burning of his face and that twist with him becoming Two-Face is an allegory for the rest of the film? What does it represent? What about you, Kevin?
I think it prevents like the morality of Gotham. Like there's definitely a bad side in Gotham, but there's also a good side in it. And I think that just shows how complex Gotham is.
What about you, Cody?
I agree with Kevin. It does. When he becomes Two-Face, it's definitely like when Gotham turns slowly into more in chaos and stuff. Like a lot more happens, and it truly questions like the whole moral standards of Gotham.
I would have to agree with that. That is a really pivotal scene, and it really does show that even the people with the purest souls in Gotham and the people who haven't been tainted by the underworld yet can still be corrupted. That's all from us so far in terms of questions. So, Kevin, why don't you tell the people what next week's movie is going to be?
Next week's movie is DC's Shazam.
I'm pretty excited for Shazam. How about you, Kobe?
I definitely want to see it. It didn't really strike me as going to be the greatest, but it actually looks interesting and it looks kind of funny. So
It does look interesting. And I'd like to say on the last note, just to end off the podcast, that this really is one of the better Christopher Nolan films, and really one of the better superhero movies in
Of
general.
all time.
Of all time. So, that's all from us. Remember, we're your hosts, Sam Rooker,
And I'm Kevin Pisano.
and from everyone here at Cinema Studs, thanks for listening.